Welcome to Tarik Talk, a podcast exploring art, culture, and the stories that shape creative lives. I'm your host, Tarik Mendes, and each episode I sit down with artists and creative thinkers to talk about process, inspiration, and the moments that shape who we become. Thanks for being here. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to Tarik Talk. Walking into the Whitney Museum during the 2026 Biennial, you immediately feel how objects carry histories, how even the most familiar forms can hold layers of meaning beneath their surface. The Whitney, with its industrial architecture and openness to the city, becomes the perfect setting for this kind of reflection. It's a space where materials speak, where context matters, and where artists reframe the everyday in unexpected ways. Curated by Marcela Guerrero and Drew Sawyer, this biennial brings together artists who are deeply engaged with transformation, of systems, of histories, and of objects themselves. It's an exhibition shaped by mood and material, where meaning often emerges through subtle shifts rather than direct statements. And Sula Bermúdez Silverman's work captures that transformation with striking clarity. At first glance, her sculptures feel both familiar and unfamiliar. You recognize the shapes: horse stirrups, traps, a bull nose puller, objects tied to labor, control, and the management of animal bodies. These are tools with specific functions, rooted in histories of agriculture, domestication, and power. But then something shifts. Glass has been blown into these iron tools, filling their forms, expanding within them, sometimes distorting their original structure. The result is a hybrid object, part industrial, part organic, part functional, part sculptural. That transformation changes everything. The hardness of iron meets the fragility of glass. The weight of utility meets the delicacy of form. Objects that were once purely functional become something else entirely, something to be looked at, questioned, and reconsidered. There's a tension embedded in these works. These tools were designed to control, to restrain, to direct movement. But in Bermúdez Silverman's hands, that sense of control is disrupted. The glass seems to resist the form, to push against it, to occupy space in a way that feels both contained and expansive. It's as if the object is holding its own contradiction, and that contradiction opens up a deeper conversation. By using found objects, the artist draws attention to the histories embedded within them. These are not neutral forms. They carry associations with labor, with domination, with human relationships to animals and land. But by altering them, by introducing glass, Bermúdez Silverman creates a space for reimagining those histories. The work becomes less about what the object was, and more about what it can become. There's also something deeply visual in the way the glass interacts with light. As you move around the sculptures, reflections shift, transparency changes, and the interior of the object becomes visible in new ways. The glass almost feels alive, catching the environment, responding to it, transforming with each step you take. And within the Whitney Biennial, this responsiveness connects to the larger themes of the exhibition. This biennial is filled with works that explore how systems, whether social, ecological, or technological, shape experience. Bermúdez Silverman's work focuses on objects as part of those systems. She reveals how tools, materials, and everyday forms carry meaning, and how those meanings can be reshaped. The Whitney space enhances this encounter. The industrial quality of the building echoes the materials in her work. The iron, the structure, the sense of weight. At the same time, the light-filled galleries allow the glass to fully activate, creating moments of reflection and transparency that shift throughout the day. You find yourself moving around the sculptures, looking from different angles, trying to understand how they hold together. And in that process, something becomes clear. These works are not just about objects, they're about transformation. About how something fixed can become fluid, about how history can be reinterpreted, and about how, through material and form, artists can open up new ways of seeing what has always been right in front of us. Within the Whitney Biennial 2026, Sula Bermúdez Silverman's work becomes a quiet but powerful reminder that even the most familiar objects can carry entirely new meanings if we're willing to look again. Thank you for spending this time with me on Tarik Talk. If this conversation resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe and share the episode. You can follow along on social media for behind-the-scenes moments, guest highlights, and what's coming next.